Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. A couple of days back, I had done an editorial on the scams or on the irregularities. Sorry, I will not use the word scam. I would use the word irregularities. Some irregularities that CAG had flagged. I spoke to you about that and I almost took you through a lot of them. Okay. Now there is one thing which is very interesting, which a lot of y'all also wrote in the comment box, is where how come most of the irregularities are from Mr. Nitin Gadkari's department? Come to think of it, yes, most of those irregularities was from Nitin Gadkari's department. Now, the logic is that infrastructure, that is the biggest department, that is the largest spend that the government does after defense and all of that. So maybe that is why, it is easier for CAG, or it is more prone to be, to have irregularities in that particular department. That was one logic. But is that the logic? Let's talk about it. Let's get right into the show. So I have spoken about the CAG irregularities. I have done an editorial, I think day before yesterday. I am going to attach that editorial with this particular video. Do watch it. It's interesting. I have gone into details, but I'll just rebrush your memory. Okay, in fact, if you remember, under the Bharatmala program, the CAG had raised red flags and spoken about irregularities in the Dwarka Expressway project. Now, what the CAG has said is, the CAG said that, listen, the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs, that is CCEA, had approved rupees 18.2 crore per kilometer. Dwarka Expressway, they had approved 18.2 crore per kilometer. But what NHAI ended up spending is 250.77 crores per kilometer. They said, ye kya hai? What is this? Look at the difference. Who gave you permission? And it was complete mismanagement of the costings. Complete mismanagement. Now, that's in a way what they said is, if it has happened, then well, there is a lot of explanation that Mr. Nitin Gadkari has to give. There is no doubt about it. And which today, that is Saturday, Mr. Nitin Gadkari said that he rejected this claim. He said, no, this was false. This is not right. Now, I am sure he will give his own explanation, which I will come back to you with. I will come back to you with that explanation. But the fact is, you see, 2-3 things surprised me. A lot of you all also wrote in that particular editorial. A lot of my viewers also wrote about it. 2-3 things surprised me is because, see, first thing is that our government, our good Prime Minister and his government, you see, they are not very friendly with numbers. No. They don't like numbers and all that. Especially numbers that doesn't go in favor of the government. So, if you have numbers that doesn't go in favor of the government, if it is an outside party, then they are raided. And if it's an inside party, then they are transferred or sacked. It happens normally. Numbers बाहर नहीं आता है. अरे, in this case, numbers came out. The irregularities was brought up. It was publicized, Baba. So, one wondered, how could this happen? Strange, no? Number one. Number two is that, you see, what happens is, this is 2023. Next year is 2024. Eve of the election. Eve of the election. A political party allowing CAG to bring about such numbers on the eve of the election, that too there is a history. Remember, eve of election, UPA, the 2G scam, 3G scam, 5G scam, 6G scam, all that happened before the elections. And what happened in the elections, that also we know. So history is there for us. So how can a NDA government, a Modi government allow somebody to talk against him? 2023 to before 2024. Very important question. So that too surprised me. And thirdly, what surprised me is, almost most of the irregularities that were flagged off were pertaining to NHAI, that is National Highway Authorities of India, which is under Mr. Nitin Gadkari. That also was very surprising. Chalo, theek hai. Lot of people said, ye tum galat bol rahe. You are not talking, making sense. Why? Because see, NHAI is into large projects. NHAI is into projects where there are huge amount of vendors, huge amount of workers, large projects. So, theek hai yaar, that is where you normally find flaws, you normally find irregularities, you normally, because controlling that is very difficult. So, yeah, that is why the CAG said this. And that is what happened. And that is why possibly all these irregularities, most of it are NHAI. Theek hai. Okay. See, but it is not that every year. If that was the fact, then every time maximum irregularity should be highlighted with the NHAIs, right? 2014, 2012, 2010, 2009, 2019, 90, because, previous prime ministers have also done a lot of infrastructural development. So then it was not that most of the CAG issues were with NHAI or Government of Infrastructure and Roads and all that. Aisa nahi tha. So that also was a surprising thing. So there was a lot of confusion. That is what got a lot of us to think that, Baba, are all of these red flags happening because CAG is very diligent in what they are doing, or are all of this happening for some other reason? Could be political reason. This doubt cropped in one's mind. So that's the point I'm going to talk to you about. Now let's keep all this CAG wag and all in the side. Let's talk about Narendra Modi. Let's talk about Nitin Gadkari. And let's talk about 2024 election. Now, according to a lot of reports, 2024 May, it is not a cakewalk for BJP. While BJP and NDA looks as if they are leading and they may end up making the government again, but it is not a cakewalk like a lot of us assumed maybe 6 months, 8 months back. It's not a cakewalk anymore. INDIA, that is India, that's a united opposition put together, they're doing a fairly decent job. And if they continue to do what they are doing, and if they continue to stick together, and if the popularity of Rahul Gandhi grows the way it is growing, including popularity of Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal and Stalin and Nitish Kumar and all, and Uddhav Thackeray and all, keeps growing the way it is growing, well, so problem hai. There is a problem. Take it. Now, if this is the condition, then what really are we looking at? We are looking at a stage where NDA, like a lot of people say, may get anything between 300, some people say 320, some people say 310, and so on and so forth. In fact, I've got some figures also. Why only a lot of people say, let us talk about actual figures also? No. So, Times Now has said that NDA may get anything between 296 to 320. BJP may get anything between 288 to 314. So, this is what Times Now says. Now, all these are actually just figures because I tell you, it is too early to estimate any kind of figures. Now, what happens if Bharatiya Janata Party is falling short of 275? Then, things will change. You see, leadership is undisputed till such time that the leader wins. The day that leader falls short of winning, the day that leader falls short of winning, the leader gets competitors. You find a lot of competitors around that leader. Especially if that leader has been kind of autocratic in his leadership. My way or the highway kind of leadership. Lot of adversaries. Forget about adversaries outside. You will start finding adversaries inside. Let us talk about BJP and adversaries inside BJP. Now, if BJP is short of 275, the chances are BJP too, there has been a lot of activities happening within the party. People like Rajnath Singh, people like Nitin Gadkari, people like Yogi Adiyanath, well, they all have been talking very highly about the Prime Minister, but these politicians also have been bonding together separately. These three also have been bonding together. Now, one thing understand in politics. One thing do understand in politics. In politics, politicians don't bond for no reason. If they bond, there has to be a reason. So if they bond, there has to be some kind of a resultant out of that bonding that happens. Be very clear about it. When Ajit Pawar met Devendra Fadnavis twice, third meeting he joined hands with Devendra Fadnavis and went and allied with Bharatiya Janata Party. Very simple. So bonding doesn't happen just like that. ऐसे ही चाय पे बाजू में था तो आ गया, ऐसा नहीं होता है. So something has to come out of this bonding, and that could come out if Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't make 275. Point number one. Point number two. Point number two is that what happens if they don't get 275 and the NDA allies are not really comfortable with Narendra Modi leadership? Chances are they may not be. For instance, if Akali Dal comes in as an ally of NDA, Akali Dal was very vociferous about the fact that they were not very comfortable with NDA, with Narendra Modi. They were very vociferous about it. Now they have no choice, so they are kind of may ally with NDA, with Bharatiya Janata Party, but they were quite vociferous. Now if they get an opportunity that their 5 votes count or their 5 seats count, you think they are going to keep quiet? They would want to see a new leader. Chandrababu Naidu, who people say may join the NDA back. Mind you, he was with NDA once upon a time, 2014. He left NDA. Now he may join back. Even Chandrababu Naidu, who left NDA because of Narendra Modi, and he felt that Narendra Modi was very autocratic in his approach and all of that. You think this Chandrababu Naidu, when he goes back to NDA and he gets an opportunity, he will not put his opinion? When his 2 votes count, his 2 seats count, or whatever seats I am just saying. If it counts, you think he will not make an opinion? The point is, chances are a lot of these people in NDA have had a love-hate relationship. Love because they have no choice. Hate because that's what they felt in their heart. So there was a love-hate relationship with Mr. Narendra Modi. Chances are, if you are depending on their 2 seats to make Mr. Narendra Modi Prime Minister, then they may want to, raise that little finger and say, why Narendra Modi? Why not somebody else? It could happen. So the point is, this is the time where probably the next best leader that Bharatiya Janata Party has as a Prime Ministerial candidate, that is Mr. Nitin Gadkari, may come through. Why Mr. Nitin Gadkari? Mr. Nitin Gadkari, because Mr. Nitin Gadkari, like I told you, the second largest group after Modi, Amit Shah and his people, the second largest group, if you go to see, if you just humor me and assume that there are 2 groups, the second largest group, that is Rajnath Singh, Yogi Adiyanath and Nitin Gadkari, would want to project a Nitin Gadkari as the Prime Ministerial candidate. Because he will be accepted, easily accepted. Rajnath Singh, he is almost 72. So if you go by the BJP's rule, 75 he has to retire. So he has only 3 years. Whereas Nitin Gadkari is 66. Yogi Adiyanath, because Yogi Adiyanath may not get that kind of consensus that Nitin Gadkari may get. So chances are Nitin Gadkari is the most eligible Prime Ministerial candidate after Narendra Modi. That's the point. So that's point number 2. And point number 3, most importantly, is that overall, Nitin Gadkari is seen as a person who's got fantastic relation with almost everybody in this country, every political leader, something similar to Sharad Pawar's trait. Nitin Gadkari has no enemies, absolutely no enemies. He has only friends. He is friends with everybody. He was friends, when he was in Maharashtra, he was friends with Vilas Rao Deshmukh, he was friends with Raj Thackeray, he was friends with R.R. Patil, he was friends with everybody in Maharashtra. He was friends with Sharad Pawar. He had no problem with Sharad Pawar. So he was friends with everybody. Now, he is friends with Mamata Banerjee, he is friends with Stalin, he is friends with Uddhav Thackeray, he is friends with almost every other leader. He is friends with them. He is quite seen as a quite moderate face. He is not seen as a hardcore Hindutva face. Though he is more closer to Nagpur, when I say Nagpur, he stays in Nagpur, but literally more closer to Nagpur, that is RSS headquarters, than possibly Amit Shah and Narendra Modi and Yogi put together. He is more closer to RSS, but he is seen as a moderate face. He has never ever gone communal or he's made any communal statement. He doesn't do all of that. He is seen as a person who is the least arrogant amongst the top ministers of BJP. So the chances are that he may come through easily, consensus wise, internal consensus wise, external consensus wise. He may come through as a very formidable opposition for Narendra Modi from within the Bharatiya Janata Party circuit, if Narendra Modi cannot single-handedly ensure that Bharatiya Janata Party gets more than 280, 290 to 300 seats. He gets it, then it couldn't care less. Nothing of this is going to happen. So therefore, while there are a lot of rumors that research says that, they are kind of finding it difficult. So therefore, till such time that Bharatiya Janata Party is not very confident of breaking that 280 number, Narendra Modi is going to be very cautious about Nitin Gadkari. So therefore, if you look at it from that perspective, red flags on Nitin Gadkari is very natural, isn't it? That's the point I wanted to make through this editorial. And till I see you next time, that's day after tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Namaskar.